Okay, so for this, we're going to talk about the MyPod. There's some cool stuff in here, but I think I'm going to talk about this as much as I can, and then I'm going to show you some of my code. So if you don't want to see it yet, then don't look at it. But it says write a class definition for MyPod object that stores information about a personal music player. Class MyPod should include the following: an instance variable for its color, an instance variable for its memory capacity in gigabytes. That's fine, all supposedly easy things to include. An instance variable for of type array that can hold 3 song objects called song library. Okay, so this part is important. It's not explicitly mentioned, but you do have to have your song class from that old, I think it was homework 5. I just made another song class. So here's my song class. I just made it have a title, a rating, and a price. Yours can be different. That's completely fine. Just make it follow the things from that. It was like homework 5. It had to have 3 instance variables, a 0 argument constructor, and a multi-argument constructor and a 2-string. So that's the song class that does need to be included in this. And look, this is kind of cool. So like we have a driver using this, but this uses songs. So like when I run stuff in the driver, I think it's cool. So all 3 of those, that should be fine. It's just C, you need to explicitly include a song class. And that's from homework 5. I think homework 5, some past homework. Part D, a 0 argument constructor. So actually this is back into the MyPod class. Whoops. Back into the MyPod class. It should contain a 0 argument and a multi-argument constructor to initialize all variables. You can do this in a bunch of different ways. So right now I'm going to show you some of my stuff. I think what you should do is look at this and then use it or try and understand it and then do it on your own. But I am going to give you some, since I can't do it in class with you, since I can't make stuff in class with you. I wish I could, but this video will have to suffice. So a 0 argument and a multi-argument constructor that initializes all instance variables. The way I did that, there's a couple different things that I did, and I'm going to close your eyes. I'm going to comment out all of this so it's less distracting. So here's my 0 argument constructor. I had so like here's my array that holds song objects, and I said it holds 3 of them. If you write this and you don't have your song class in here, then you're gonna get a compile error. So because it looks for this class in your project. So here's my 0 argument constructor. You don't have to initialize your array like this, but I just did it with a loop. And this part is constructing using my constructor from song, and it's using my 3 argument constructor. For whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't just use my 0 argument constructor, which probably does the exact same thing. In fact, it does the exact same thing, so I would do this. If I'm going to use my 0 argument constructor for MyPod, why not use my 0 argument constructor for song to fill up my song library, to initialize my song library array. So there's that, and then I have, let's uncomment this couple things at a time. Is that it? Yeah. Function F8. No, just kidding. F7. F7. So here's my multi-argument constructor. There's a couple ways that you can do this. I don't suggest doing this actually, using a multi-argument constructor like this. You can pass it an array, but that just means in your driver you would have to create an array. So this actually is not the best way to do it. I would, I mean, I had a 3 argument constructor, and then I also had a different constructor. So I could choose between the two depending on how many arguments I pass to it in the driver. But this, I think, you should not do for this assignment. Excuse me. So a zero argument and multi-argument constructor to initialize all instance variables. So don't do it like this. I shouldn't have showed you that. But let's see, function f8. This is the way I think you should do this. Function f7. So this is my other multi-argument constructor, and I only take in arguments for color and memory. So I only do these, and this is what this is talking about. Initialize its instance variables using the multi-argument constructor. Pick your color, memory capacity, and songs to populate the pod with. This can be hard-coded in its constructor. That's what it's talking about. It can be hard-coded. This is the constructor, and I hard-coded the 3 songs. That's what that part of the instructions are talking about. So this is what you should be doing for yours. You don't have to use this, but I chose to use this because it was quick. And what else? Let's keep going through this. A toString method to display all the object's instance variables in a user-friendly format. But then there's this extra condition here using a for each loop. So I'm going to talk about that. At first, my toString, it includes my, well, I'll uncomment this part because I do use a for each loop, and I'm going to try and explain that. F7. So here's part of my toString. I should show this part as well. So here's part of my toString. It's not highlighted because I didn't undo the rest of it, but I of course make an output string, and I fill it with the color of MyPod is, and I put the color in. That's the instance variable from my MyPod class. And then it has a memory capacity of blank, I should say gigabytes. And the songs it holds are. And then I used a for each loop. That's what it's talking about right here. Print out the information on MyPod using the toString. And for a for each loop to print out the songs from song library. And it's a different kind of loop, basically. I think you guys could be fine with all of this stuff, so I'm going to try and explain a for each loop. And maybe if I have time, I'll try and make another video explaining a for each loop. But for specifically this program, what I'm doing, so I'll just uncomment my whole entire toString, F7.